Joining us now from Washington, D.C., Democratic Senator from Indiana, Evan Bayh. Thanks very much, Senator, for joining us.
Thank you so much, Senator. Great to see you again. Very surprised by the circumstances, though.
Yeah.
Why did you decide this week, the week of the filing deadline, to announce your retirement?
Joe, because I had to. I've had a growing feeling for some time that Congress is just not working as well as it should, delivering the kind of results the American people have a right to expect. I've been focused on my day job. There's a big part of me that loves public life and public service, and so, I made the decision when I finally had to.
Let me read a CNN quote. One of your friends was quoted on CNN and said that you hated the Senate, hated left-wing bloggers, and they've gotten their wish, and the pure Democrats will now be in the minority. You've talked about this a good bit. Do you think the political extremes have taken over politics in Washington, D.C.?
Well, first, Joe, I rarely use the word hate, and I've never applied that to the United States Senate or to left-wing bloggers. I don't feel that the Senate or Congress in general is working as well as it should. I think it's in desperate need of reform. I think you've got a lot of good people trapped in a dysfunctional system right now. And with regard to the left-wing bloggers, I believe in the First Amendment. They got a right to criticize me. Sometimes it gets a little personal, and you're only human. You don't like that, but you got to accept that in our society. So I do. I do think that what people are yearning for, and I do think, and you and I have discussed this before, what our party needs to understand, people want practical progress. They're tired of the two extremes. They're tired of people who focus on short-term tactical political advantage rather than getting the job done. Some progress is better than none.
Well, Senator, isn't it frustrating to you, though, Senator, that you and other moderate Democrats are trashed consistently by the left-wing blogosphere, and they're extremists on the right and the left, so you're getting it from extremists on the left and the right on the blogosphere, primetime cable TV shows, you name it, talk radio. It seems to me that if you try to be bipartisan, if you try to walk a center line, you get savaged by all sides.
Well, that's true. Sometimes you do get the worst of both worlds. But look, Joe, I think my advice to my fellow Democrats is the only way we can govern in this country and actually implement some of the ideas that we share is to make common cause with the independents and the moderates. There just are not enough on the far left wing of the Democratic Party to constitute a majority.
All right.
So does that mean that our friends on the left stop advocating for what they believe in? Absolutely not. But do we need to sometimes accept 60% or 70% of the progress we want? Sometimes that's what you have to do, because some progress is better than none, and the American people have been getting none for too long.
That's great advice, but you're leaving. Some progress is better than none. Are you letting the two extremes that we're talking about win by leaving, and also the timing of this decision putting the seat at risk?
Two things about that, Mika. First, I'm happy to report that as far as I know, I'm in sound health. I may be leaving Congress, but I'm not quitting life. And thankfully, there are a lot of ways to contribute to our society other than serving in an elective political office. Creating jobs by growing a business, being in a college or university, helping to educate our young people, perhaps helping a worthy charity or philanthropy. Real things that will help real people in their daily lives. Perhaps on a smaller stage, to be sure, but tangible and real nonetheless. And that's more than, unfortunately, Congress has been doing here these last some time. So with regard to my state, Mika, I'm happy to tell you, I think you're going to see some very good Democratic candidates stepping forward who will have a real opportunity to win this seat in November. I'm looking forward to helping them out. The other party's going to have a 5-way primary. So I actually think the chances of carrying Indiana with the right kind of candidate are pretty good.
Time Magazine's Mark Halperin.
Senator, you've listed today and yesterday some things maybe you'll go on to do. The New York Post is speculating you'll run for president in a Democratic primary against Barack Obama. Can you be Sherman-esque today and rule that out and say under no circumstances will you run for president in 2012?
Or is that part of the plan here?
Mark, as far as I'm concerned, General Sherman was a wimp when it came to making declarative statements. Yes, I will go beyond General Sherman. I've tried that before, as you know, and fortunately I'm back on my medication now and not thinking about that.
So you'll absolutely rule out there are no circumstances under which you'll run for president as a Democrat or an independent in 2012?
None whatsoever.
Okay, John Heilman is also with us here, author of Game Change, New York Magazine.
Senator Bayh, a lot of people will read a symbolic rebuke in your departure, a symbolic rebuke to President Obama, the notion that he has governed not from the center where you live and has governed too far from the left. How much do you think that kind of interpretation is correct? How much is this about a failure on the part of the president to govern in a way that you find amenable and that you think the president should be governing to take the country where it needs to go?
John, I'm glad you asked, and let me clear that up. The president is making a sincere effort to reach out and try and bring the two parties together. He knows about the dysfunction here, but it takes two parties to make that work. And so what I would say, there are some on the right in the Republican Party who are just playing short-term political games. Look at this vote 2 weeks ago on the Debt and Deficit Commission. Some of these people had endorsed it. They'd co-sponsored the bill and then vote against their own bill because they don't think it's politically expedient. That's a perfect example of what's wrong with Washington. The president had endorsed that idea. So, look, I'd say to the far right, disagree with the man if you must on some policy, but he is reaching out and you should cooperate and compromise with him where you can. I'd say to some of my friends on the farther left, look, sometimes half a loaf is better than none. And we got to get that progress done that we can and then come back and argue over and fight over the rest and not make this an all or nothing kind of thing. So the president is making a sincere effort to try and change the tone. Congress is not listening enough.
Katrina
Vanden.
Senator Bayh admired your father. I also believe that perfect is the enemy of the good. I'm pro-democracy. But the question is, in quitting the Senate, why blast left-wing bloggers? Why not, in your diagnosis, talk about the lobbyists, the wall of special interest money, the filibuster problems, the corrosion of money in our system? Why not focus on that as much as this kind of hyped partisanship problem that has been your card?
First, Katrina, I don't know who that anonymous quote was to CNN, but they were not quoting me. I did not blast the left-wing blogosphere. I think people on all sides have a right to have their say. So that was not me, and whoever said that was not portraying my views correctly. I agree with what you just said. There are some serious reforms that need to be put into place when it comes to the gerrymandering of the House of Representatives, when it comes to the constant demands for fundraising. You mentioned my father. Back in the day, I'm feeling a little bit old here. But back in the day, they used to have the saying, you campaign for 2 years and you legislate for 4. Now you campaign for 6. And if people are constantly having to raise money and constantly having to have politics on their mind, it just makes it so much more difficult to achieve those kind of compromises and progress that the American people want. So I actually agree with you. We need to focus on those reforms that will make Congress a better place.
Senator Bayh, we have to let you go. As you go, just yes or no, you said it takes 2 parties to make things work. What about 3? And do you see an independent, perhaps, candidate there? And is that something that you are looking at in your future?
No, not whatsoever, Mika. I believe in working within my party to try and achieve the kind of progress that we need. No, I don't intend to start a third-party movement or anything like that.
Senator Bayh, thanks so much for being on the show. Good luck to you.
Thank you, and to you.
Thank you, Evan. We'll see you soon. Good luck.
My friend. Thank you.
All right, let's bring in right now NBC News Chief White House Correspondent, NBC News Political Director Chuck Todd. He's also co-host of MSNBC's Daily Rundown. Chuck, we got a lot of questions for you. Let's first, let's put on the political analyst hat. Tell us the political impact of this retirement in Indiana.
Well, look, it means now there are 8 Democratic-held Senate seats right now where the Democrats trail. Let's be realistic. 2 that are definitely probably gone, North Dakota and Delaware. Right now, they don't even have a candidate in Indiana, but I do think that'll be a competitive race. I'm not willing to call it already as somehow as much of a lost cause as Delaware and North Dakota appear to be. But they're trailing in 8. Arkansas, Nevada, Colorado, Pennsylvania, Illinois. Throw in now, Indiana. So we're up to 8 of them. That means that's too short. Assuming the Republicans run the table on those 8, they just need 2 more to throw in, and suddenly the majority, the idea of them winning the majority is on the table. This is not